What's up, pups? How you guys doing? I'm frustrated. Thanks for asking. There's been this underlying saying around for a while now. Don't end friendships with people based on differences within political or religious beliefs, etc., etc. 9 times out of 10, I can totally get along with someone who has differing beliefs than me, and would you believe it, even be their friend. Too much frivolous unfriending and fighting has really led people into these isolated groups where they only communicate with people who have the same beliefs as them and they don't ever get an outside opinion. And that is what really helps to create this bias and segregation, and that is not a good thing. However awful Democrats thought Bush was, he wasn't Adolf Hitler or Stalin. And however terrible Republicans think Barack Obama is, he's not a terrorist. But now that Donald Trump's campaign is really gaining support with 7 Super Tuesday wins a couple weeks ago, the time has come to really sit down and talk about this. That means accepting that Donald Trump is no longer viewed as a joke, but as an actual threat. It also means challenging the idea of remaining civil through differences and possibly making a few enemies along the way. American political life is typically tied to one general principle: tolerance. Right-swingers typically understand tolerance in a more strict sense, pulling from a historical and constitutional perspective. And it would seem that the left regards tolerance more as a morality issue. The left is generally better at adjusting and accepting differences or change, such as immigrants or LGBT. And because tolerance is taken as such an unquestionably correct approach to political life, it can be unnerving to learn that intolerance is equally acceptable and valid in protecting a tolerant society. Basically, intolerant arguments should not be tolerated when they refuse to respond to a rational argument and when they start to replace arguments with violence. The paradox of tolerance was probably best described by John Rawls. He said that a tolerant society should tolerate the intolerant up until security and liberty are threatened. This is where Trump and his supporters come in. I have a very hard time understanding what people see in his campaign, let alone him himself. An authoritarian, a fascist, a crazy man in expensive clothing. We can debate minor points of label and attempt to analyze exactly what his motive is, but it's worth mentioning that fascism in America in the 21st century is not going to look like how it did in the 30s and 40s. We're living in an era where truths are hard to come by, public relations is everything, PC is challenged, and everybody is trying to be a million things at once. And this goes for the type of person who secretly supports Hitler in his bedroom at night, just as it does for the Sanders supporting hippies. And please don't take that the wrong way, because I feel the burn. Militant ideology is dead and buried in the Western world. However, we shouldn't wait for its comeback to realize that the closest thing we've seen to a xenophobic, misogynistic, macho, violent politics since the World War II era has come back to American mainstream right under our noses. Normally, we rely on an accountable political system to guard against the rise of tyrants. And even before that, we've been able to rely on our political culture's sense of understanding of what is appropriate for public dialogue. The Electoral College usually doesn't have to serve a function because it's traditionally never gotten to a point where a candidate has gotten so far in an election that an elected body has to step in to protect against a minority or a majority. The reason that Trump presents such a big problem is that he is proving that our political culture no longer functions as a wall against a group adverse to the rights of other citizens. The question then becomes, have we reached our breaking point of being tolerant against the intolerance of Trumpism? Does Trump and his movement constitute a threat against security and liberty? On the security side, one can just take a look in the news at how many foreign advisors are actively working against Trump. Countries literally want to ban him from entering. Trump's call for the murders of the families of terrorists and torture and a lot worse, which, mind you, is a war crime, scare even the neoconservatives in the foreign policy community. And when it comes to liberty, Trump's suggestion of keeping a registry of Muslims, that's literally enough to label him a threat. Is his campaign even meeting the public sphere of civil discourse with violence? It's not mainstream, but it's definitely started. Choke slamming photographers, roughing up protesters, pushing and shoving a woman through a crowd of angry, violent men, using examples of shooting a person in the head and still having people who follow you and support you, speaking joyfully about how it gets you off thinking about punching other candidates and protesters in the face. And just yesterday, from this recording date, just yesterday, they canceled a rally in Chicago because the violence was so bad that they didn't want anyone else to get hurt. And where the actual violence is not happening, it's actually become a thing now that people are associating Trump's name with blatant racism. One of my very good friends is a Muslim. The violence and the darkness of the Trump movement doesn't seem to hit as many Americans as it should. A survey taken back in 2011 showed that 7 out of 10 people say that they have never come across a Muslim in their life, or if they have, they just didn't know it. Trump has now heightened my sense of worry. Not that I might be attacked or asked to live on the same street as a Muslim, but for my friend's well-being and that of her family. The depressing reality is that many of those in our midst have told us of their support of Trump, whether it's by bumper sticker or yard sign or, more obviously, the primary vote, that they're not just casual closed bigots. They are politically motivated bigots. They are cultivating a genuine political power in the name of hateful authoritarianism. Why? I can't ever say that word. Authoritarianism. Sorry. Authoritarianism. Sorry, I just broke seriousness for a moment, but let's get back on track. The sad thing is that if they're not really bigots and they don't label themselves as being as such, they are far too comfortable looping themselves in with the group of people who actually are cool with making it publicly known that they are radical bigots. So how deep do you dig your hole before you can't climb back out? At some point, you don't get a pass just because you're not as bad as the company you keep. I'm sure many of us have tolerated our bigoted family members or that one guy on Facebook who we remember from high school and always post that racist crap. These opinions were out of touch and morally wrong, but not threatening or destabilizing. They were underlying prejudice, not organized racist political involvements. And that is what a vote for Trump is. So after the results of Super Tuesday, it's time to refuse to tolerate the intolerance of Trump and his supporters. No more, I don't judge anyone for their political beliefs. No more, I don't care if you vote for Trump, just vote. You have no room for racist bigots in your life. Use your unfriend button. Have uncomfortable and frank conversations with your family members, friends, and coworkers. Make it known that you will not allow Trump and what he stands for to become just another set of opinions on the American political landscape. Thanks for watching, you guys. I feel like I'm going crazy. You know when you watch a train wreck happening and you want to stop it, but the train is too big. You are one person, you're one body, and you can't throw yourself in front of the train because what's the train gonna do? It's just gonna barrel right through you as it's crashing, and the explosions just, Jesus Christ, what the hell, America? What is happening? I know that I don't get political in my channel, and you know what? No, I don't apologize. I was gonna say I apologize, but I don't. This is a huge deal. This is a huge deal, you guys. This is not a joke anymore. Trump is legitimately a threat. I don't want to see our country go down a rabbit hole that we can't find our way out of. Alright guys, well if you enjoyed the video, please like it. If this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, hi, I'm Kayleigh. You should subscribe by hitting that red button right down below and we can become best friends forever. Links to my Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram are also down below. Please continue the discussion in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in a few days with another video. Peace out, Treads.